The Tale of the Prince with a Tail. A long time ago, in the great kingdom, a prince was born. But he was not an ordinary prince. He had a tail. The moment the prince was born, strange whispers began across the kingdom. People said, "This is some other kind of creature. He should be left in the jungle." The minister went to the king and said, "My Majesty, having a tail is a sign of bad luck. Such a prince cannot rule the kingdom, nor will the people accept him as their king." But the king was wise, noble, and merciful. Instead of hating the prince with a tail, he lifted him in his arms and said, "This is not a curse. This is a secret, a mystery. When the right time comes, people will understand, and they will surely accept him as their king." Time passed. Because of his tail, the prince suffered much shame. He had no friends. Everyone mocked him, and soon people began calling him the prince with a tail. Whenever the prince became sad because of people's words and he cried, his tail began to glow. And whenever he laughed, his tail swayed gently, spreading the fragrance of flowers everywhere. The prince first realized the real power and magic of his tail when he turned 23. One day, he went alone into the jungle for hunting. Suddenly, a wolf attacked him. At once, a bright light burst out from the prince's tail. It struck the wolf's eyes. The wolf screamed in pain and ran away. The prince stood shocked. He whispered, "I thought this tail only glowed when I cried and spread fragrance when I laughed, but now I see it can even protect me from danger." Just then, suddenly, an old witch appeared. She wore a pointed hat, a long cloak, and carried a wand in her hand. She said, "Yes, Prince, you are right. This tail is not a curse, but a power, a gift that I gave you." The prince was stunned. You gave it to me? I don't understand." The witch replied, "Many years ago, I had a talking lion. A genie had given him to me as a reward. That lion not only spoke, but also had magical powers. Whatever command I gave, he obeyed. But one day, as every living being must die, my lion also died. I sat beside him crying. Then the same genie came and said, 'Yes, the lion has died, but his tail still carries the same magic and power. Tonight is the night of the full moon. Whoever is born tonight will receive this tail.' And suddenly, the lion's tail disappeared. And you were the one who received it." The witch continued, "With this tail, Prince, you can do good for people and for yourself. But remember, you cannot use it for evil. And now, you must rescue a princess. She is trapped in a silver cage, and that cage lies in the middle of an enchanted lake on a dry patch of land." The prince asked, shocked, "But how can I do this?" The witch said, "Prince, you are forgetting you have a magical tail. With it, you can do everything." The prince asked again, "But how will I even reach there?" The witch pointed, "Do you see this river? Walk along its side. When your tail begins to glow, you will know the lake is near." Saying this, the old witch vanished. The prince returned to the palace, gathered some supplies, and at dawn, mounted his horse and began his journey along the river. After some hours, his tail began to glow. The prince dismounted and walked into the forest. There before him lay a beautiful lake, shining like silver. Flowers bloomed all around it. In the center of the lake, on a small dry island, stood a silver cage, and inside sat a beautiful princess. The prince entered the water, swam across, and reached her. She was so breathtaking, he could not take his eyes away. The prince spoke, "Oh, my magical tail, free this princess from her cage." At once, his tail glowed brightly. The cage disappeared, and the princess was free. She asked in wonder, "Who are you and what have you done?" The prince replied, "I am a prince, and I came here to free you from captivity." But the princess said in alarm, "You have not freed me. You have thrown me into great danger." The prince was shocked. "How? What do you mean?" The princess explained, "Who told you I was trapped in this cage?" The prince told her everything about the old witch. The princess sighed. "It was because of that very witch that I was imprisoned here. She has a giant son. A year ago, when I was walking in the garden, he saw me. He insisted that he would marry me. Then with his magic, he kidnapped me. But his mother told him, 'You can only marry her on the night of a full moon. Then your powers will grow stronger.' My father's friend was a magician. He saved me from them and cast a spell on this lake. Here, he locked me inside a silver magical cage and said, 'In 1 year, there will be 12 full moons. If within those 12 nights, the giant does not marry his chosen princess, he will weaken. And on the last full moon, he will die.' That giant killed my father's magician friend, but could not break his magic. Tomorrow was the last full moon. The giant would have died, and I would have been free forever. But you have made their task easier," the prince said softly. "I thought you were in trouble, and that I must help you. But still, that witch and her son cannot harm you. The spell that the magician could not break, I broke with my tail and reached you. So imagine what I can do to them." The prince then commanded his tail, "Take us out of this enchanted lake and forest." At once, his tail glowed, and both of them found themselves inside a palace. The witch appeared there, laughing. She said, "Prince, sometimes too much kindness becomes dangerous. But in this case, it turned out useful for us. Now hand over the princess to me. Tomorrow, my son will marry her and regain his powers." The prince stood firm. "I am merciful, but not foolish. The tale you use for your benefit will now destroy you and your son." The witch raised her wand and hurled a ball of fire at the prince. But nothing happened to him. Then his tail shone brightly, and the witch turned into ashes. The next night, under the full moon, the giant also turned into ashes and blew away with the wind. The prince took the princess back to her palace. Her father, the king, embraced her with tears of joy. After learning the whole story, he thanked the prince deeply. The princess then asked, "Will you marry me?" Tears came into the prince's eyes. He said, "All my life, people mocked me for my tail, but you gave me such respect. Thank you. Yes, I will marry you." And so they were married. The prince returned to his kingdom with his bride. The king and queen were overjoyed to see their son's bride. The king crowned the prince as the new ruler. The prince worked tirelessly for the good of the people. Because of his kindness and mercy, love filled the people's hearts, and they accepted him as their true king. If you like the story of the prince with the tail and the night of the full moon, then don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.